I'm here with Ruben Flores Jigs. His channel description says, "We make hand-tied lures and sell the Flowcast brand of rods, fishing lines, and hooks. You can find our products at www.rubenfloresjigs.com." Ruben has 11.4 thousand followers, 703 videos, and 4,321,182 views. Very impressive, Ruben. Very impressive. What's that sound?
It's probably the air. It could be the air conditioner.
Oh, yeah. It's like a motor sound.
Okay. Let me get the mic on, see if it helps.
Okay. Hello, Arlene. So we've got Arlene, we got Brian and Jess in chat, my beautiful wife Emmykins, Fat Cat Fishing Fever, Creek Seeker Fishing, Show Flies. Well, now I'm echoing.
Voices sound good?
You sound good now, but now I hear myself echoing. Do you have a second device on, Ruben?
It's not echoing on my side, is it?
It's echoing on. I hear it echoing.
Oh, you do?
So that makes I can hear. Do you have like a second device running with my audio playing back into the mic?
No, not really.
Huh. Well,
here, I'll just turn this off here.
and Fishing with Love is here as well. I almost forgot about that.
How about now? Does it sound okay?
Sounds great.
I hear you better now.
Yeah, I don't hear the echo anymore either. Hey, Mary Turner, how you doing?
Hey there, Lou. Hey there, Mary.
All right, so let's get into it, Ruben.
Yeah.
So with that being said, 4 million views. When did you start your channel, and where did the idea to start a YouTube channel first come?
It started when YouTube first started, and again, I've only been putting videos up for maybe 2 years, but never really paid attention to it because we had a lot of success over on TikTok. And I tell you what, when you get 1,000 people watching a live stream, and in some cases, we've had as many as 14,000 people watching me tie jigs. It gets very addicting, and
Okay.
the whisper of YouTube just slowly goes away. And so,
Right.
and then it was about, it'll be on the 3rd of September will be the 1-year anniversary that I've been doing live streams here on YouTube.
Okay. So if we can, I'd like to actually rewind, maybe even go before YouTube. So was TikTok where you first started doing lives?
Well, I started doing like Zooms and FaceTimes when Facebook first offered it back in 2019, 2018. We did some stuff with some of the people on Facebook, and there was probably about 4 or 5 of us that would be either on a conference call, just spending time with each other, or on video chats.
Okay.
And a lot of them were, they were older than I was, and they were really impressed with me, how I tie lures and how I make so many. And then my wife had been asking me back in 2020. She said, "Why don't you start putting stuff on TikTok, because there's a lot of people there, and I think some of them were people that you help teach."
Okay.
And so I started doing that, and back then you had to have 1,000 subscribers, and I put up a few videos, and pretty much overnight, I just started getting a lot of followers over there, and a
Wow.
lot of people that were on TikTok that were already customers of ours or had seen me at these tackle shows, started following me and helped support, and, and then I would put a video or 2, every day, and we just got to where we were getting, if Remington's in here and Panfish King, we would get 5, 6, 7, 8,000 people watching me tie jigs.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
And on a live stream, we would get, 1,000, sometimes 2,000 people that would follow. And then I got to go fishing with a fellow named Chunky Cat's Fishing, and we did a live stream together. And man, we had almost 2 million views on a
Oh
live
my
stream.
god.
The people that came through the channel
Right.
when we were fishing together, and so that helped me out. And then knowing people like Ernie the Hog Snatcher, Has Life Fishing, some of those guys, Dusty with Last Cast over there on TikTok. They gave me more exposure, I guess.
Okay. Wow. That's incredible. So kind of
But it
like
was
an
about a year
overnight
ago that my
success.
wife was nagging. I say nagging. She was just being very
Encouraging.
persistent. Yeah, encouraging, and I think that's the first time I ever put my wife with nagging in there. Um, but she had said, what's going to happen if they get rid of TikTok? And I'm like, I don't know. I'll just start doing Facebook lives or something, and maybe I'll start paying more attention to YouTube. And so I started putting videos up on YouTube, and it was September the 3rd that I did my first live stream on YouTube, and I had two people watching, and so and I would get discouraged because on
Sure.
TikTok, it's front loaded as far as the algorithm. They will
Okay.
throw people at you left and right. Here on YouTube, you really got to earn it.
Yeah.
And we there were times it would just be Remington and Panfish King and me in the channel, and I would spend time texting and talking to them, and I just said, "You know what? I'm just gonna make a commitment because who knows in January, this last January, if TikTok was gonna go away."
Right.
Um, and so I thought, "You know what? I'm just gonna commit an hour every day, sometime between 7 AM and 9 AM. I'm just gonna spend an hour." And,
Right.
and I just started seeing the numbers grow, and one time we had so many people. We had over 400 people at one point, but it wouldn't give me any more it wouldn't let any more people come in the channel because at that time I only had, I think, 600 subscribers back then,
Yeah.
and I couldn't get more people in the channel because I didn't have enough subscribers. Now we've been over, I think, 1,200, 1,300 people on a live stream here, and we get, yesterday we had 200, 300 people for quite a while.
Mhm.
And it's fun. I mean, I like doing it. It gets our name out there more. We got people like Lou and Luca and some of these people that show flies. They're always in my channel every day. You
Right.
know.
Yeah, every time I come into one of your lives, it's pretty packed. I've seen anywhere from several hundred to nearly 1,000, and just periodically coming in there. So I think you're doing
Yeah,
pretty darn good. And obviously,
I'm
with the
trying to
four
get more
million views,
shorts out there.
yeah,
That's been my tough is trying to create a video uh, that is just different. I guess
yeah,
I don't have the showmanship that some of these other people have. And oh, thank you there. Yeah, but we get a lot of people watching because I just work. That's all I'm doing is I'm not trying to put on a show necessarily.
right,
Um, People get to watch me work. So whether I'm pouring heads, painting heads, um, putting eyes on, uh, and tying lures, they get to watch those four things. This last year, I've had a really bad back, so I have normally at this time of year, I'm out fishing at least 3 times a week. And
Okay.
so that's the part that I haven't been able to do, you know?
Yeah, I don't think I've
And
caught you, live fishing yet. I've caught you tying jigs plenty, but I don't think I've caught one of
mm,
your fishing lives yet. But
I've only
obviously,
been
I'm
out
assuming.
live fishing on YouTube once.
Oh, okay. That'd be why. That'd be why. Are you trying to then maybe make some long form fishing videos? Is that kind of the goal?
Yeah, we made an investment and bought a GoPro,
Okay.
and so I'll be out with the GoPro. I don't know if I'm going to mount it somewhere or just wear it on my head. Um, I went out fishing about 3 weeks ago and didn't really catch hardly anything.
Right.
But I'm hoping to get the boat out and start crappie or catfishing.
Okay. So how long have you been tying flies? Like, who taught you how to, or jigs or
Nobody,
whatever?
nobody
Nobody?
taught me.
No one taught you? Well, how'd you learn then?
Uh, I just bought me a cheap vise kit that they had at the local tackle store, and it was a
Right.
Wapsi kit. Uh, and it was a box for like $50, and I thought, man, I'm gonna tie jigs because I want to learn how to tie because there's all these old men at the local dock and they're catching three, four, five to my one. And I had been using plastics up to that point,
Right.
like the Bobby Garland or the
Sure.
cheapy plastics at Walmart. And I wasn't catching as many as they were. And so they were
Okay.
using these little micro jigs, little 1/80th ounce lures um, that are small, and they were catching a lot of crappie and they were catching big crappie. And
Okay.
so I would go out to the local tackle stores and I couldn't find the little bitty 1/80ths. And I'd go to Bass Pro, but you'd find a little 1/80th, but it'd have like a big old honking tail on there. It was made for trout fishing.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and so I thought, man, maybe I could start tying some. And I was recuperating. I've had 3 shoulder surgeries on this side and 2 on this side. And I had an accident at work and I couldn't work for almost a year and a half. And because I was having this side done and then that side done, and then found out the surgeon did them both wrong and had to have them redone. And so I had a lot of time on my hands. My wife had said back in 2010, she said, "Why don't you just go fishing? Just get outside and do something because
Right.
um, I would probably be at home miserable and just down because I couldn't do catering, I couldn't do my inspections work. I had worked for somewhat of a government agency and did home inspections and for energy efficiency and stuff, and I couldn't do anything. And so I'd go fishing. I couldn't cast. I couldn't get my hands over my head, you know, back then. And so I go crappie fishing because I could drop the line straight down.
Sure.
And I did that. I ended up going, okay, I'm gonna make me some jigs. Bought me the kit for like $50. The only thing that was good in there was the vise. One
Oh,
thing.
sure. Yeah.
Everything was for fly tying, like fly fishing.
Right.
And there's no jig heads in there. And so we had hardly any money because I was on workers' comp. We
Yeah.
basically qualified for welfare back then.
Oh,
My
wow.
wife wasn't yet a school teacher,
Mhm.
and at that time, I'd been used to when I could work my regular job, do catering. Uh, I got a lot into. I did smoking meats. I did tamales. Did anything I could to make extra money, and I couldn't do that any longer. And so I would go out with these little jigs that I would tie and catch crappie, and went ahead and bought me a mold because the guy that was selling me jig heads was in his mid 70s, and I thought, man, this guy's going to clunk over here soon. I better learn how to make jig heads.
Right.
And so I just learned how to tie. You know, I didn't have a fancy vise like I do now, and had basically a $5-10 vise. And we were dirt broke poor. Uh, I started catching big crappie and a lot of crappie, and a lot of the local fishermen took notice and they were asking me where I'm getting my jigs. So back then
Right.
I was selling them a jig for like 25 cents each, 50 cents
Okay.
each, something like that.
Right.
And they thought it was a good deal. And as they kept ordering more. I was like, man, I better get prices up because I'm just tying for materials here, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
so I started raising prices. More people started asking. Local tackle stores were asking if I could tie them jigs. And so I did that. I eventually went back to work and ended up starting a barbecue business not long after. And back in May of 2012, I had my own business with barbecue, and I decided I'm going to go full time and give it a go because at that time we had more jig customers than barbecue customers. We were in a little
Oh,
town, Chelsea, and they had maybe 2,000 people in town, and I did pretty good, but
yeah.
I had more money coming in on jigs than I did barbecue, and I
Oh,
thought,
wow.
well, it just makes sense.
Right.
And so, uh, at that time, I was putting pictures on Facebook, and people from North Dakota and Delaware and all these states were putting in orders. And not only that, people were putting in orders because they go fly fishing, and I was tying these little micro baits.
Yeah.
And so we just kept growing and growing, and in 2012. Around then, I kept catching all these big crappie, and so newspapers and radio stations were getting a hold of me, doing
Oh, wow.
interviews, and we had a lot of promotion, a lot of good people out there promoting me. Tournament anglers, people were winning tournaments with our lures, and we just kept growing and growing. And then 2019, we did a tackle show in Oklahoma City, and that's when I got on the Crappie Connection with Brad Chappell, and he was in the booth right behind us. I had just had my. I was supposed to go up front and do like a lecture show, tell them what I do, and they canceled on me. And I
Right.
think it was it Orlando Houston or Jimmy Houston that took my spot. And so I thought, well, there's no way he's a
Giving
lot better than
Houston?
I am.
Yeah.
So they canceled me out, and that's when the Crappie Connection came around and said, "Oh, you're Ruben Flores. Oh, we'd like to talk to you." And I did an interview with them, and they helped us out quite a bit. Brad's an awesome guy. If you ever get the chance, Crappie Connection, good guys, and you know, uh,
Is he on YouTube?
and my video's still up there on YouTube, with Crappie Connection. But
Okay.
we just started doing more and more, and then 2020 came around, I started doing TikTok, and then things just blew up, and we've always been a small business, um, but we've tied a lot of jigs for a lot of notable people, and our jigs have sold in every single state here in the US.
That's amazing, man. So, okay, I'm going a little off script here, but this is a very different and very interesting story. Um, so, what would you say is like the secret sauce that separates your jigs from other people's jigs? Because obviously, you were heavily coveted. Like everyone wanted your jigs. Everyone who was anyone in that
Mhm,
area, and clearly throughout the United States, wanted your jigs. What was it
mhm.
about your jigs that were different? Like, what did you do
They're
differently?
very durable.
Okay,
I started tying neck hackle jigs when there weren't a lot of people tying neck hackle. And back in 2011, 2012, we started getting more tackle stores. And I started noticing, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get in these tackle stores. And we didn't get into our local tackle store, Nabatac, which is a really big tackle store. And it's basically a national bait and tackle. They distribute to like 20 or 30 states.
right.
Uh, we couldn't get into some of these stores because everybody did a marabou tail. So I thought, let me play around and let me do a neck hackle tail. Neck hackle, as I started reading on it, is a lot stronger. You're not going to get as much movement. And so I started working with a neck hackle. And not only that, I started tying where I'm like, I got to find something because I would get people commenting like, you use head cement. This has a toxic smell to it. why don't you use the water base? So I would go to the water base glue. And
Yeah.
then you'd have people go, well, the water base isn't going to hold up because if it's a water base, it's going to
Right.
dissolve.
That was my
And
first thought.
so I'm like, well, let me, oh, cool.
Oh, thank
Yep.
you, Luke.
Um,
Luke, I
yeah,
appreciate
thank
that.
you there,
I
Luca.
just wanted Emmy
Uh,
to run me a pen. I didn't need someone to buy me one.
yeah. Yeah, keep throwing them the gifts, guys. Um, and so I'm like, I got to get away from this. If I can tie a jig without using glue, that
Yeah.
would help me out. And then one day, well, again, I always tie and always had a TV. I used to tie in the bedroom. So I
Right.
was always watching Seinfeld or whatever, listening to some story. And I liked watching these fishing documentaries about these big companies, whether it's Shimano, the Hardy Brothers Fly Company, Megan Boyd, famous fly tire in the UK. And I was watching her tie, and I thought, how is she tying all these saltwater flies, catching big salmon, big
Right.
fish, and
Right.
she's not using any glue. So I kept playing around for about 2 months, uh, off to the side because I would tie all my regular jigs that would go out with glue and use glue.
Right.
And I come up with a system that I'm like, I don't have to use glue anymore. And ever since that point, we were getting people that were catching over 1,000 crappie with just one lure.
Oh, wow.
And we've had in the last 8, 10 years, we probably had over 100 people catch 1,000 crappie with just one lure,
That's amazing.
and it doesn't fall apart. Uh, we had one guy out of Tulsa. He fishes 2 or 3 times a week, and he did a thing where he fished a whole year with just one lure. and so
Wow. That's crazy.
and so I'm like, man, that helps out. I mean, he doesn't have a big following on Facebook or anything, but just to have him tell me that story that he
Yeah.
used my lure, that it was the hurricane jig of all things. That's a color I don't fish a whole lot with. Some
Right.
people like it. Um, and he loves fishing with that color, and he fished a whole year without. But anyway, that helps us out too. We have a very durable jig. We have 7 different sizes of lures. We do some with marabou. The majority of stuff we do with the neck hackle, and we do a lot of different profiles. We do Clouser minnows. We brought back the wedge tails recently. Um, you know, and we did wedge maybe 10 years ago, and we probably sold 8 dozen altogether. and
Huh.
and I'm like, well, forget this. This ain't gonna
Right.
work.
Right.
And more people have been tying wedge tails on TikTok, and then Crappie Man jigs. He sent me out a pack of wedge tails, and I don't know if I have it up here or not, but at that time I already had my wedge tails coming to me from Woods and Waters,
Yeah.
and I felt bad because I'm like, oh man, I don't want people to say I'm copycatting him, but I'm like, you know what, I tied with these 10 years ago.
Right.
There's some pictures on Facebook somewhere back then, you know, um, but we've tied with all kinds of stuff. We tied with silicone tube tails. I tied bucktails. I tied with all kinds of feathers, all kinds of hair. We brought back the leeches and squirrel tail recently, and they're selling like crazy.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm looking into getting some bucktails for myself. I'm gonna start doing some musky fishing pretty soon here. Um, so yeah, I'm trying to figure out what kind of lures I'm gonna need. I mean, I'm normally a live bait guy, but I'm gonna increase my odds and combo up with live bait and bucktails. All right, so that was some fascinating stuff about how you grew in your tying and everything. But I want to get into the fishing aspect of this. So when did you first start fishing? When did you first get into fishing? Do you remember like how far back can you remember to catching
I
like
was
your
probably
first
about
fish?
4 or 5 years old. I'd go with my dad, my grandpa, and my uncles. And I remember they gave me a little short pole with a bobber and
Okay.
worms, and they would put the worms on there, and they were probably casting it out there for me, but I remember reeling in little fish.
Thank you, Luca. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
There we go, Luca.
I got one too. Um, how did it? Do you remember that feeling? Like the first, like when you first started catching fish? How exciting was that?
It I still remember a little bit about it. We would go to
Yeah.
a place west of Kerrville, Texas, and a little place called Hunt, and we would catch. You know, my grandmother liked catching perch and cooking it, and channel cat. She liked cooking channel cat. And as I got older, my parents got divorced when I was young, and I
What's up?
eventually ended up living with my grandparents and also with my dad.
Oh
And
my.
my grandparents on my dad's side lived probably a quarter of a mile away from the Guadalupe River. And so from the age of like 7, 8 years old, me and some of my first and second grade buddies would walk down to the river with their little fishing poles. And I didn't have a fishing pole. I would use my grandpa's pole.
Okay.
And we're talking, Zebco 304, whatever, and some kind of a pole. And we'd go fishing, and I remember, catching channel cat, and probably I didn't start bass fishing till I was probably about 10 or 11. And we would go a lot of times we would go inner tubing, and we would be dropped off in Hunt, Texas, and we would float all the way down to Kerrville, and we'd sit
Oh
on
wow.
an inner tube and with the bass
How many
rod and
miles would you
just
say that is? I mean, most people probably won't know those locations.
about 15, 20 miles.
15 20 miles of floating and fishing? That
Mhm.
sounds awesome, man. Wow. Sorry to interrupt. I was just curious
Oh
about the
no.
distance. Um, all right. So I forgot to get into. So where are you located, and what are the primary bodies of water that you particularly fish often?
Um, I'm in Northeast Oklahoma, a little town called Claremore. I started fishing crappie at Claremore Lake, at the local heated dock. And I would also fish Oologah Lake for white bass. They call them sand bass up here in Northeast Oklahoma, um, but they're white bass. And I would also go catfishing and bass fishing too. And most of the bass fishing I would do up here for largemouth were, pond fishing, these
Huh?
farms and ranches, and excuse me. And then I'd go paddle fishing too below the dam. And but
Hold on.
after I started catching crappie, I quit fishing for largemouth.
Paddle fishing, as in like you targeted paddlefish, like you got to snag those, right?
Yep,
Okay.
spoonbill, paddlefish. My
Oh,
biggest
wow.
is about a 50-pounder, and you cast it, and you got your hook up here and your sinker down there.
Right.
And normally you go with the 2 to 4 ounce sinker on the
Okay.
bottom and cast, and you're just,
What kind of hook are you
and
using
then all of a sudden,
trying to snag a
woo,
paddlefish?
yeah,
What
huh?
kind of hook would you What kind of hook would you use to try and snag a
Here in
paddlefish?
Oklahoma, you got to use a barbless hook,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's a treble
All
hook.
right. Okay.
And
Barbless
you rig it
hook.
up a certain way for it to stay in line, and
Right.
and it's fun. It wears you out,
Yeah.
um, but I like catching catfish and crappie. Those
Okay.
that's what I and white bass, sand bass. Those are the three fish I love to go fishing for.
Out of
Paddlefish are
the
fun, but it gets, I don't say it gets boring. They don't get as big as they do down in Keystone Lake. Keystone Lake,
Okay.
you get the 80-pounders and 100-pounders, and where we are at, you get 60, 70-pounder at the biggest. Mine is a 50-pounder. My biggest flathead is a 50-pounder,
Okay.
and then biggest crappie about a 3.5-pound crappie.
That's a nice crappie. That's a really nice crappie.
And
So out
that's
of
what that put us on the map. Was there was about a 16 to 18-month period that I caught 8 3-pound crappie
Oh
bank
wow.
fishing or dock fishing with no live scope, no boat,
Right.
and the newspaper would come up all the way to Claremore to talk to me, and because I was catching these big old crappie on these little bitty jigs, and they're like, "How are you catching?" We at that time we had already sponsored a few teams for tournaments and
Right.
guides, and the majority of them had never caught a 3 pounder. you
I've
know,
never.
and here they are with forward-facing sonar, and they could see the fish, and and I think it's partially luck,
It
partially
can't be luck when you
consistency
got
going
8
out.
of them, though. You got
Huh?
8 3-pounders. It can't be luck if you got 8 3-pound crappie. That's not luck. You're doing
It's
something right.
divine prosperity, put it that way.
Alright, fair enough.
God knew I needed money, and God put some fish on my line, and we sold a bunch of jigs.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. So
But we
out of crappie, catfish, and, sand bass, what would you say you're best at catching? Which one are you best at
crappie,
catching? Crappie?
crappie.
And what's the I mean, do you change tactics, or is there, like, one surefire way that puts the most crappie in your boat or in your bucket?
I don't have forward facing sonar.
Right.
I'm hoping to get one maybe by the spring, but I don't want to be reliant on it. Hey, there's Mr. Crappie Man. How you doing there? Um, I don't want to get reliant on it because I've been on boats where guides and friends of mine who use that as a tool, they do
Yeah.
get their limits, but there've been times to where they're so fixated on their screen
Yep.
that they can't ever go back to blind fishing. They either uh, there's a couple of good things that forward facing sonar has done. Some really good things. They aren't losing as many jigs. People are catching bigger crappie. Um, the negative part is it's taken a lot of amateur people that would be amateurs before LiveScope
Mhm.
and turned them into superstars.
Right.
And if you take away the forward facing sonar, they just aren't. They don't have any natural or 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 educated instinct to go out and get a lot of crappie.
Yeah.
Um, there's certain ways that you present a lure. There's certain things that you do in order to. There's a lot of things I think that are heavily involved. Presentation, profile, um, and color. And there's things that you learn through fishing, just without any sonar and basically hitting and missing. And you start learning and accumulating information
Yeah.
and that helps you decide your color, the way you present your lure, and the profile that you're throwing out there, and also the location too, because you know uh, if again if you like Crappie Man said, if you ain't scoping, you're hoping. But I've caught again, I caught 8 3-pounders where still today you get these people that do live scoping, and some of them
Yeah.
never caught a 3 pounder. You know,
Um, now I can't relate directly with crappie fishing. I don't do much crappie fishing. I am pretty obsessed with catfishing.
yeah.
Um, and I found and I've never had like the live scope, right? But even just a regular depth finder on my boat, right?
Hmm.
I found myself once I had that fixating on trying to find the holes and then being like obsessed with staying near a deep hole in the river, right? And
Yeah.
uh and I felt like I wasted a lot of time just fishing an area because there was a hole there and never getting bites and staying on it, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
then I literally just cut the cords, pulled my depth finder out, threw it in the trash, and then after that, I started catching a lot more fish, and I felt like it was because I was being more like in the moment instead of looking at the screen trying to figure out the depth of the river. I was looking at the contours of the river. I was looking at the bends of the river. I was watching for jumps. You know what I mean? I felt more connected to the habitat itself and less obsessed with, well, where's the deep hole? Where's the deep hole? You know?
Yeah.
So that's been my experience with just a regular depth finder.
Yeah, I'm not against live scoping or forward facing sonar, but uh, it's a tool. And if it wasn't for that tool, um, I'm not going to say their names, but they wouldn't have the Grenada Lake record for crappie masters because every single boat that they brought up, in many cases, was with my lure, and every single fish that they weighed in was over 3 pounds.
Oh wow.
I don't think they could have done that without live scope. And uh, we did get some recognition out of it. Um, but again, it's one of them things. Some people need to have it. I feel
Sure.
comfortable out there fishing without it.
Mhm.
Um, Showmanship wise, if you have, uh, if people see that you're using a forward facing sonar, sometimes you don't get as many viewers. I mean, unless you have a really good personality, because there's a lot of people out there that think you're cheating with it.
Yeah.
If I had it, I wouldn't be that person that's glued on there and you're holding that rod and you see these guys doing all these gymnastics with their rod and they're holding out a 20-foot pole and they're doing all this and that and it's like, what I've been on boats with people that are doing that on the front end and we've taken turns using the life scope. I've been in the back and I'm catching 5 fish to every one that they're catching. And it's just part of it is, and again, I'm not saying I'm an expert or anything like that, but sometimes people rely on that too much and they just it's not fishing anymore. And in some cases, a lot of those guys that did tournament angling, they're not even fishing anymore these days.
Yeah.
They just got burnt out. They can't win. Uh, I'm all for tournament angling. We don't even really sponsor. We sponsor one team these days. We used to sponsor. We had as many as 13 teams at one point, and it just there's this fake fool's gold that's out there, and people are trying to think that if I win that tournament, I'm going to become famous, and that's not the case. We've made lures for one gentleman that he's won 2 national titles. He's about as down as earth as could be. One of the nicest people I know, and he lives probably about 30, 40 minutes from me. And there's other people out there. It just breaks them. It tears them up, tears their marriages up, it bankrupts them. you know, they got
Yeah.
to have the most fastest boat, the most expensive boat. They got to have $10,000 electronics on their boat, and they can't finish in the top 50. You know,
Francie. Yeah, we got a little catfish tournament here, and I hate it. I wish they would stop or find a better way to do it because they kill all these big, 30, 40, 50 pound flathead every year. They take them out of the river, and it's a 3 day tournament, so they don't live. They bring them to the weigh in dead. And it's just like,
oh
what are
really?
we doing here? Yeah, yeah, it's
Most of
awful,
the
man.
tournaments here, you can't weigh it in unless it's living.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you got to keep that fish living. And after the weigh-in, they usually have some kind of a chute that they just dump it in there. They got running water. It's like a water slide. They
Yeah.
dump it in there and they're, letting the catfish go.
Well, these
I've
guys
only
need to
fished one.
learn from
Huh?
that. Cause I said these guys around here need to watch those tournaments and do the same because it makes me mad that they're killing all the big flathead around here. You know?
Yeah. I've only been to one. I got to go to the Sea Arc Boat Owners Invitational a couple years ago, and they run that really smooth. You had a bunch of big old cats there. But I don't do much tournament angling, and I don't really aspire to be or win a tournament.
Right.
Um, I like making the baits. I like fishing. I wish my back was better.
Yeah.
I'd be out there more. But I love catfishing. I never gave up catfishing. I did give up bass fishing. I caught my biggest bass is about a 10.5 pound largemouth. I caught
It's a
it when
nice
I was
one.
14, and well, I will probably never ever break that, that
Right.
PB. And when I started crappie fishing, and I was able to take when we brought fish back, our first, the first time I went crappie fishing, that I brought some back and we ate it, I thought, man, this is the best fish in the world. And again, when you're making 40% of your normal income, if that, in my case, it was 25 to 30%. Again, because I was getting recuperating and I couldn't go work and I'm bringing fish home. We're eating fish 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm like, I'm not gonna, I just gave up bass fishing. I still have
Right.
one bass rod, and that's about it. Yeah, all my other rods they went in garage sales. Um, I still have a box full of lures with rattle traps and swim baits and stuff, and I just don't care to go bass fishing much.
Yeah. Freaking mellow yellow. Cat's asking what
Yeah, I
I'm
remember drinking that. But we make a bunch of baits. I make anywhere from 50 to 100,000 jigs a year.
So what is you said you caught a 50-pound flathead, 50-pound spoonbill. What is
Mhm.
officially the biggest fish you've ever caught?
The what?
The biggest fish you've ever caught.
Those are the biggest fish.
Those two? Okay.
I've never caught I mean, I caught my biggest shark is about 11-inch hammerhead.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never
Um,
caught a walleye. I've caught hybrid bass. My biggest striper is probably about 13 pounds.
okay.
We don't have pure striper on my lake. If
Oh,
if
okay.
you go down further south, you'll start finding striper down there. But we have the hybrid bass.
Oh yeah. We've got straight up white bass up here. Um, we've got one pond that maybe has one or two wipers left from when they stocked them back in 2009, but
Oh yeah.
they're probably not there anymore. Is there a dream fish that you've never caught that you'd like to catch someday?
Um, I've caught a saltwater trout a couple of years ago when we were down on Padre Island. I have I'd love to go fly fishing and catch a trout, freshwater. Um, I do have a fly rod. I go out maybe once every 2 years fly fishing. Um, I'd like to catch a salmon. Um, I don't know, just that I'm not too picky. I mean, I just like to go traveling and go fishing everywhere.
Guys, we will just save your questions. I just got a few more questions I got to get through, and then we'll take questions from the chat. The chat's asking a lot of questions. I know they want me to ask all their questions, but we save that for a separate segment. I get to ask my questions first.
Yeah, yeah. You guys will get your questions here in a bit.
So what is your favorite fish to catch then?
It's a tie, crappie and catfish.
Cropping catfish. Now, does it matter what type of catfish? Like, do you have a favorite catfish to catch?
Blue cats. I love
Blue.
eating blue cat.
Okay. Do you have any fishing superstitions? Anything that you think brings good luck or bad luck?
I load up the boat with bananas.
That's appropriate. You're wearing a banana colored shirt. So a loaded boat full of bananas brings you lots of good luck. Got
No,
it.
people would laugh at me the last couple of years when I go fishing on the boat because we just recently got a boat about 2 years ago, and so last year and the year before, I would take a banana on the boat with me. I'm like, that's my snack. I'm eating some cheese crackers and a banana for my lunch, and I'm bringing a bunch of monster drinks, waters, and Gatorade. And
Okay.
so um, no, I thought, hey, I'm just going to bring a banana, and I know it's bad luck, but you know what? You know, if my blood sugar has gone a little bit low, I got something there to help me out. I don't
Yeah, I
believe
think
in luck or anything.
low blood sugar is probably a lot worse luck than a banana.
Yeah.
Do you have any unbelievable Like crazy fishing stories?
I've been able to fish. Well, one time I caught a catfish. I was fishing with a perch. I was catfishing. I brought the catfish in. I went to get the hook out. I thought, man, this catfish swallowed the hook. Found out that a bass had eaten my perch, and the catfish could have got loose. It was about a 30-pound flathead.
Yeah.
Could
Oh
have
my
got
god.
loose, but he didn't want to let go of that bass for some
Oh
reason.
wow. You know, I've done about 19 interviews now. That's the third time I've basically heard a story like that where somebody caught one fish and another fish ate that fish that they had initially caught. They pulled it in. So it happens quite a bit. At least to people who fish regularly, right?
Yeah.
What
Oh,
motivates
wait
you to
up.
keep
Here's a good story.
Okay.
And I forgot it. It's probably my favorite story. My first 3-pound bass, I caught it on purpose. I
Okay.
went to the local dock, went inside the dock. There's a guy named James. Well, I can't remember his last name, but he lives in Claremore. He makes baits like I do. But I went into the dock. It was a nice, cool winter morning. And we're just getting out of winter, getting into spring. And I sat down in the dock and I said, I'm getting ready to catch a 3-pounder, folks. And I dropped my line down and I caught a 3-pounder.
Oh wow. There you go. There you go.
And
Speaking it
not
into
even 30
existence.
seconds went by. I brought it up. Everybody was talking, and until my rod started bending, and some of them said I was hung up, and I brought it up. I reached down. I didn't have a net, and to
Right.
get it up, and I brought that big old up.
Nice.
That's probably one of my favorite experiences ever there because I'm just joking around. I just said, "Hey guys, I'm getting ready to catch a 3-pounder." And
Did you brush your
everybody's like,
shoulder off
"Yeah, yeah,
afterwards?
yeah."
Like, yeah, yeah, I did that. Yep. That's cool, man. I like that. Um, what made motivates you to keep going with everything that you're doing? Like on YouTube with the tying the
Now
jigs,
we
all
have
that.
people in here like Crappie Man Jigs, and he'll say the same thing. This is a tough business to be in. Uh, we have longevity. I have almost 15 years of experience making lures, and um, I make a really good bait. Um, what keeps me going is, and has me working late at night at times, is outside of getting to be a pastor at one point and getting to do ministry. This is
Mhm.
probably my favorite thing to do for 2 reasons, because it's fun, and secondly, which is a close tie, if not the primary motivator, is, uh, I don't know if I could how would I say? I know what it's like to be poor,
Mhm.
and I knew what it was like when I first started. I didn't intend to go into business doing this. I was just wanting to get better and to get back to work and to be able to afford to pay bills. Um, again, we went from me making, and I wasn't making a lot of money, but I made just as much. I made a lot of money doing tamales and smoking meats and catering for people because we used to own a restaurant a long time ago. Before I, you know, before 2008, we owned a couple of restaurants, and for me to make, 400,000 a year to working a job, making $12 an hour, and then selling tamales and smoking meats for people, and not being able to do that and getting even knocked lower and making baits. I just thought when I started making lures, I think God made me and gave me the gifts to do what I do. I don't know if that
Amen.
makes sense.
It does make sense. especially when I heard the whole backstory, how it all just kind of fell into place like that. It was almost forcing that hand upon you. I absolutely see that God
Yeah, I,
definitely.
I never intended to go into business. I see people in my live streams. I see people at tackle shows all the time, and we get people, uh, and I get really touched when I do a tackle show and some dad brings their kid that's 10 years old, and they're showing me their lures and said, "Man, I watch you on Facebook and TikTok and YouTube." You know, it it's a pat on the back.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and but you get people that they want to get into the bait business. Again, I didn't do this. I had no intentions to ever start a bait business. It just people wanted to start buying them, and the next thing I found out was, well, we had about 5 or 6 thousand customers, and I'm like, it just kind of makes sense. And I had a really good. I still have a really good supportive wife, but she ended up going back to college, getting her degree. She's a school teacher now, and she's been teaching for about 9 years. And she knows I have a gift doing what I do, making lures, and she supported me. Um, Back in 2019, I was still making lures out of our house, uh, tying jigs in my bedroom, late at night, working on orders. We went to a tackle show. I said, "Stephanie, do you want to go?" And she said, "Yeah, yeah, I can go. I can help you paint jigs, and we'll get you going." And we went to this tackle show, and there were people from Milwaukee that came all the way from Milwaukee to Oklahoma City just to come see me. We had people from Florida come out to come see me, and I'm signing T-shirts and hats. And my wife's kind of really impressed. Not only that, we had a company that makes our packaging. They were in Dallas, and they heard we were going to be here in Oklahoma City, and they said we want to make your packaging. Up to that point, we had a staple type, cardboard with a baggie stapled up there, and
Sure.
it
Yeah.
wasn't all pretty like this.
Right.
And they said we want to do something for you. We want to make your packaging, and we they said we make packaging for some of the biggest companies and design them for them. And it said, by hands down, you probably have the best hand tied lures I've ever seen. And
Wow.
we want to do you a favor and help your business grow. And
That's amazing.
from that time, my wife said, we need to find you a building. So I was looking for a building that would maybe hold two lawnmowers, the kind with the
Yeah.
two open doors, and you walk in there, and
A
maybe we could
glorified
cut out
shed.
and put a window.
Right.
Maybe we could put a hole in the wall, put a window, maybe an AC unit in there. Maybe we could pour concrete. Do a pole barn type thing.
Sure.
And she found this building right before COVID, and I think we paid $8,000. We were making payments on it. We finally paid it up about a year or so ago. We finally paid it up. Um, but it's my little shop. I love it. We've outgrown it, and but my to have a wife that supports me like that, uh, you know, it's a big deal. And I want
Oh
to
yeah.
do anything I can, whether it be, we want to get a new house one day. We want to build a house. We live in a rinky-dink mobile home, and when Crappie Man talks about his floors and all that, I'm like, yeah, I understand. We had holes on the bottom of our bathroom shower. You're straddling the shower because you don't want to step on that crack that you've reputtied and reepoxied. and we got all that fixed, but it'd be
Right.
nice to build a big metal building that's a house and a shop, and
That'd be
and
cool.
but no, I love what I do. I enjoy what I do. I've never once thought about, I just want, never once thought, hey, I want to quit doing what I do. And I see these people in the last 15 years. Usually it's about between year 3 and year 4 that some people get burnt out and then they quit.
Sure.
Uh, that's never even been in my head. I thought if I ever I have to make this go. And
Right.
it goes. We have good years and bad years. We try to save up our money. I eat a lot of potted meat sandwiches and bologna sandwiches for lunch, you know. Um, it just we do what we can and you know, just I know that where God guides, God provides. And
Love it, man. I love that. I mean, I think you've done it, man. You're doing it. You've done it. You're doing it. And man, it's a lot of accolades. I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. I love the whole story. I mean, how many lures have you tied now, man? Any clue?
I'm
If you had to
about
guess,
700,000 somewhere in that proximity.
100,000.
Yeah,
Wow,
I
on your
tie a
way to a
bunch.
million. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And how many fish you think people have caught with those lures? How many smiles have your lures brought to someone's face when they reel the
A
fish in?
bunch.
You know
We
what I
get
mean?
pictures literally about every day. We get maybe 1, 2 pictures. Some granny sitting in a wheelchair bringing in a bluegill or some dude uh posting, that he caught him with our jigs.
Right,
And that makes me more happier than anybody hoisting a trophy and doing anything with our jigs, because those people there, they're going to keep buying our jigs. We got away from a lot of the guides and a lot of the tournament anglers, and um, you know we we did use coupon codes or put them out, but we took them off recently, and you know what, we started getting more business. That's just weird.
yeah.
You
No,
know,
I mean, I don't know. There's something like sends a red flag when you see a coupon. You're like, it's probably not a real deal. I don't know.
well, we had coupon codes for about 5 years, and I think it just everybody got used to it and became just old.
Right, right,
And not only that, it just you know, I thought, hey, you know what? Let's take the coupon code. We're going to give everybody a special deal.
right.
Let's put a lure out there for 3.99. Let's put another lure out there for 4.99. Let's
There
put
you
10
go.
lures out there for 4.99. You know,
Right.
again, it's just one of them things to where um, I know I'm not going to get rich. I'm never going to make $1 million in a year again, ever. Um, we've gone through a lot of hardships in life. I'm happy just being able to, you know, the little things in life. Um, our house is paid for, our vehicles are paid for, my boat's not paid for, but you know, and we're just happy. My wife's again, I my wife has never pushed me to being a millionaire. I've been a millionaire a couple times over in my life, uh,
Oh,
whether it be by illegal activities or a straight up business, and that was before I met my wife and before I became a Christian.
okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's back in the 1980s.
That was a wild turn. All right. Anyway, so fishing. All right. I got one last question, and then I'm gonna release it to the chat to ask you some questions. All right. If you could fish, like you have a time machine, and you can go anywhere with anyone at any time ever, who are you going fishing with? Where y'all going fishing?
My dad. I'd go
Yeah.
fishing with my dad here on Oologah Lake. My
Love
dad
it.
never got to see. He died back in 2020. We were planning on him coming up that spring or summer and staying with us a couple of weeks. Um, he got COVID. Um, I'm not going to give all the details because there's some people that are,
Yeah.
take that as a political this or that. Um,
Whatever.
we were going to bring him up here, and he didn't make it. And he
Sorry.
never got to see our little shop. He never got to see the wall of lures. We got our own brand of crappie poles and catfish poles now. fishing line. He never got to see all that. And I did take him out fishing when years ago when they came up here. But I always wanted to take him on like a boat how I have now. And it's not a new boat; it's just a Sea Arc that I could crappie fish on the front and catfish off the back. You know, um, I would bring him up here and go fishing.
That'd be awesome. All right, chat. Go ahead and bring your questions. Thank you, Ruben. Thank you for answering all my questions. This has been a great episode. I really enjoyed this interview. All right, chat. Come on. You all had a million questions for me. Let's go. What do you guys got now? I guess I could scroll up and find some of the questions they were asking earlier.
Thank you, there, Nightbot. Is that Emmy
Yeah, that's my wife. Emmykins is my wife, and she's
Emmykins? Okay, I didn't know how to
yeah.
pronounce it. I didn't know if it was
Yeah, you can
Emmykins.
call her Emmykins, whatever you want. Um, oops, still trying
Bluegill
to find
Slayers.
the
Yep.
question. Now I got to scroll all the way back up. Everyone was asking a million questions. Now no one wants to ask anything. Let's see here. Wow, it was really far up there that they asked the questions. I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
Ruben, can you teach Turner the joy of packing and shipping? Yeah, I could do that for him. Thank you there, Luca.
Luca, thank you so much, man. Come on, I think Anthony had some questions. I'm scrolling really far up, guys. If you could
Okay.
just re-ask the questions.
While you're looking, I'm going to share a story.
All right, go for it.
My first shipping packaging, again, when I started putting pictures on Facebook of my lures, uh, people from that's when I started experiencing, uh, I'm going to have to do something about shipping. Again, we had hardly any money. When I say we qualified for welfare, we qualified for welfare. I don't want to say I was too proud, but I remember being on welfare when my parents got divorced and I lived with my mom. And I'm like, I do not want to go through that. But anyway, to get back to the shipping part was I used the sandwich brown bags and I would use Ziploc bags that people would put either snacks in or sandwiches. And I was using that as my packaging for lures. And I would put them in the brown paper bag and fold them and tape on it. And I would write down, at that time I was writing, I don't know if I was, no, we were the Hill Country Jig Company back then, or Green Country. Um, And so I would write that down. I'd write down the person's address, and then I'd, you know, go to the local post office and ship them. But that's how I used to ship lures. And then finally, I started getting a little more money, and I started getting the Manila envelopes from like Walmart and Dollar General, and then I was like, you know what? We got a little extra money. Let me go ahead. We'll just buy on eBay or Amazon. Let's just get 100 manila envelopes. And so I did that. And little by little, you just start small and work your way up. Now we have, I think, eight to 10 different sizes of boxes. We got all kinds of cardboard envelopes. We try to put our branding on all of it because I want everybody to know Ruben Flores jigs, Ruben Flores jigs. If they see that on
Right.
the packaging, it just ingrains in their head, you know.
This was the jig I caught. I got to get this brand and catch more of those crappie.
Yeah, you don't know how many times in the last 10 years that we have had mailmen who love fishing deliver the lures to somebody out in Kentucky, and they see that on the box.
Oh yeah, sure.
And so they Google up Ruben Flores jigs, and they're like, "Well, I think I'm going to get me some Ruben Flores jigs." There's countless stories of just putting a brand on your box or packaging, that it just. Now you also got to, you know, uh, you know, it just you're letting everybody know that there's jigs in there or fishing stuff, but
Right.
it's just a branding thing. So
Yeah,
we
for
have
sure.
stickers that we put on boxes. We have um, stamps, rubber stamps. I'm doing that all myself. I could go ahead and spend, the extra 50 to 80 cents to get branded boxes, but I'm like, those boxes, I don't think anyone's going to keep them. I just rather
Right.
rubber stamp them or put a half penny sticker on them. You know,
Right. So Anthony asks, do you have any ideas for beginners for fly fishing and ideas for what to use for beginners for fly fishing, first day of fly fishing, and what is the biggest catfish you ever caught? You caught a 50-pound flathead, so we'll get that
50
out of the
pound
way.
flathead. Biggest catfish I caught on a jig was probably, I don't know, about 20 pounds, 15, 20 pound catfish on a jig. Um, if you're going to tie jigs, or flies, um, figure out what you want to make. There's plenty of books out there. There's plenty of YouTube videos. Um, there's people out there like Brian Smith. Just type up there fly tying for beginners on YouTube and start out with something simple and get very good at making that and and then go on to the next item. Don't go just making it and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to move to the next one. I tied a mayfly.
Right.
No,
Right. Expect
you
it.
know, when I got my son and I was teaching my son how to tie jigs, um, I would have him just tie, you know, I would have him literally 20 times learn how to get your thread on a hook. And he would do that. And as I'm teaching him how to put thread on a hook, I was teaching him how to do the whip finish knot. And so I, you know, we would go through so much thread. Uh, but I was wanting to teach him, before he ever got to the point where he's putting feathers on it, he probably tied 100, half hitch knots and had probably laced up a lot of thread on 200 hooks. And I'm a firm believer of repetition, muscle memory, and get it right before you go to the next step.
Yep.
Now, I tie mayflies, I tie clouser minnows, I tie fly fishing stuff. Um, I'm not going to, in most cases, do a live stream and go, okay, well, I tied a mayfly for the very first time this morning. I'm going to go ahead and teach everybody how to tie a mayfly, you know,
Right. Right.
because if especially if you do live streaming, it comes out woolly buggers. Yep. I tie those too. If you don't know what you're talking about, it's going to come out. Whether your physical actions, you could talk a good talk, but if your hands and your fly isn't showing, you know, isn't backing up what you think everybody's going to know you're phony, or everybody's going to know that you're really not that good.
Right.
And you know,
So Showflies wants to know how many lures do you make a day?
about 100 to 500. I hit 500 maybe every 2 weeks.
Oh my
You
god.
know,
So
in
how
one
many
day.
hours are you putting in to make that many lures?
If I'm not doing a live stream, I could do about 5 to 6 dozen in an hour. Pretty easy.
Oh my god. Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. So Fat Cat and JBT asked the same question. They want to know what's the smallest jig you make for bluegill.
Right now on our website, we have a 1/80th. Just type in 1/80 and you'll get a lot of different stuff on the search. Um, we started putting out a few months back a split fire, SPLITFIRE, two different words, and that's these little bitty lures right here. You can do a 1/64 ounce, but this is on a number 10 hook. We also do some of the jigs in our regular profile, like the assassin jig. You could find that in a 1/80th with a sickle hook too. I do also make custom orders.
It's just Ed asks, do you think you'll build another shop later?
One
Like a
day,
second one?
one day, our hope is to have a big metal building that either uh, on one side of the metal building, have our shop in there with windows and all that, but probably have something that's probably at least 2 or 3 times bigger than what we have right now. We have a 16 by 34 size building. Um, we just don't. We're looking and hoping and praying that we get a new spin cast machine here in the next few months. If we do that, I could pour 5,000 heads a day.
Oh my God. Wow. Um, so Zyro's Garden asks, with Ruben, do you go saltwater fishing? If so, which species do you target and which one have you caught the most of?
I used to go saltwater fishing in Florida when I lived there, but I live up here in Oklahoma, and the only salt that's in the water is in my soup. And so we did go to Padre Island a couple years ago, and I had the fortunate experience of catching speckled trout with our jigs.
Wow.
But
Anthony's first,
I don't really go saltwater fishing. I'm not into that.
yeah, me either. I'm like thousands of miles away from the ocean, so I don't saltwater fish either. Not the show for that. Sorry, guys.
Yep.
um, Anthony's first question was, at what age did you start making jigs, and what kind did you start with?
I started making, well, I started, I'm 59, so let's just take away 15 years from 59.
All
What,
right.
44, 43, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Uh, and I started tying marabou jigs.
You got
And,
any
uh,
of those handy?
and I started
There we
tying
go.
marabou jigs. My very first jig kind of looked like this, but with a white tail,
Oh, very
pink
nice.
head, white body, white tail. This was the second color ever made, the assassin. And what was that second part of the question?
You got them both. It was what age did you start and what kind did you start with? So you answered both parts.
Yeah.
Hey, Peter.
And
Did I miss
the
anyone's
very first
questions? If I
jigs,
missed
the
anyone's
size,
questions,
huh?
awesome. I was saying if I missed anyone's questions, go ahead and
Yeah.
retype it in the
The,
chat.
the very first size I started making were 1/80ths. And again, I knew nothing about crappie fishing before I started crappie fishing. I never caught one, never eaten one. And I started catching crappie again. Uh, I had no, my first jigs were taking them, was basically getting a hook, clipping a worm off part of it and putting it on a hook again because we had no money, we were broke. And so I'm using 10-pound fishing line. I had a 6 foot 6.5 foot bass rod, and I'm there trying to jig. And we had little money, so I'd go off and buy $1.50 pack of plastics and 50-cent bag of jig heads from Walmart. And that was my first experience buying plastics.
Not sure what this means, but Peter Snyder says, "Are you welling them jigs?"
Am I what?
Well, ng them jigs. I don't know what that means. Maybe he meant to type something
Welding?
else.
I don't know.
Try it again, Peter.
Selling,
Um.
yeah, I sell jigs.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. RubenFloresJigs.com.
There you go.
Type up my name, Ruben, RubenFlores, jigs, JIGS.com.
Lucifer asks, "Have you ever tried using ostrich feathers for tails?" It's one of his favorite for tails.
I have a long time ago,
Okay.
but I haven't recently. Somebody got me an ostrich tail, Um, Somebody gave us some emu feathers, and I like those. Those are nice. I'll be watching. Well, thank you, Anthony. Appreciate that. Thank you,
Thanks, sir.
Source.
Come on, chat.
Yes,
What do you
throw some
got?
W's.
Put your questions in now. Let's go.
Who's pinning up who's pinning up your questions? Is that you doing it or one of your
I'm
mods
doing
doing
it.
it?
Emmykins can do it too. But yeah, I've been mostly doing it.
Okay. How much are you selling? How much are you sell the jigs for? Have you ever thought about selling them on Amazon? We thought about selling them on Amazon. Uh, we may do that sometime. We're kind of doing some research into that. Amazon takes their chunk out of it. Um, we've thought about it, but we used to sell on eBay, and we used to sell for tea water. Let's see. We used to sell on eBay. We used to also have an Etsy, but s- s- there's so much foreign jigs on eBay now. When I first started selling on eBay, I had a friend of mine named Tim, um, and he was out of Arkansas. He owned a business called TNT Tackle, and he was the one that inspired me to get the Peak rotary vise. The vise that I have right now. I was looking at getting a vise. Again, we have a lot of money, and there was about a 40, I'd say about an $80 difference between the non-rotary Peak and the Peak. My friend that owned Rocky Mountain jigs tied with a non-rotary vise. My friend in Arkansas had a rotary vise, and he's like, "Man, it's going to be the best vise you ever have." And he told me that they used to go to Minnesota and they would do some of these tackle shows. And after the tackle show, they would make so much money that about every year, every other year, he was getting himself a new pickup. He would make anywhere from 60 to $100,000 just at one tackle show. And that was before eBay. He started selling stuff on eBay when there weren't any lures on eBay. And so he quit selling his stuff on eBay because it's just too much competition from these foreign markets that are putting their lures out there. And so there aren't a whole lot of small businesses on Amazon with people making their own lures. Um, so we are looking at it because again, I tie a lot of lures. So you know, um, I'm hoping maybe we can do that, but we're still kind of debating it.
So Fishing with
Um,
Rivers wants to know if you teach.
I we were starting in-person lessons at one point, and if you ever saw my shop, right on the other side, there's another fly tying station, and that's where my older son used to tie jigs there. We were going to start doing lessons. In fact, we had a fella come up, and he lived probably about 40 minutes away. We did one lesson with him and his daughter. His daughter was like 13, 14 years old. She liked doing it, and we ended up that next week or two, that's when lockdowns and the COVID panic went out. And so we never have done in-person lessons
Source
after
wants
that.
to know what was your favorite fishing moment.
That one inside the fishing dock. Um, Other than that, I've had a bunch of them. Some of my favorite moments are with my dad. Um,
Yeah.
some of you guys know my history. I moved back in with my dad when I was like 13, 14 years old. I hadn't seen him uh, a lot. Uh, my dad was a musician, went traveling a lot. Um, and when I got to go stay with my dad, I ended up choosing to live with my dad. And he became my best friend. He's my dad, love him to death. And a lot of times I had good times with him.
What is your best jig color for tea water? I think that
I
was a
see
joke,
that.
right? That was a joke.
He's a joker.
What made you think of all the colors you have now?
Um, Part of it is just, again, I fished with plastics before I started tying. I didn't fish with plastics a whole lot before I tied, but I used to like fishing with tube jigs at this one lake called Uchi. And I fished with plastics there. Some of the plastics, the tube jigs would have a head color, a body color, and a tail color on them. And so I thought I could turn that into a hand tied jig. And that's where we got inspired with the mongoose, the black head, orange body, chartreuse tail. Got inspired with the assassin jig, which is pink head, white body, chartreuse tail. Some of those gave me inspiration. Um, I got a lot of inspiration from doing custom colors too, because I would be on the phone, somebody wants this, or somebody would take a picture of a lure and go, my grandpa fished with this, can you replicate it? I don't want to lose his jig. And I would see that color and go, well, I like that color. Let's, see, I'll tie some up and we'll put it on Facebook. We'll see if it sells. Or I would see that color and go, you know what, I'm going to do that for you, but I'm going to change the head color on this a little bit. So, um, one of the neat stories when I first started doing tackle stores was I on Mondays and Tuesdays I used to drive south, north, east, and west. I would have these Tupperware boxes of lures, and I had them on these. Oh, oh, here it is. Let me see this. I had the jigs on these kind of packages. Yeah, these are old packages. We still have a lot of these, but we use these for jig heads too. And I would have these in a Tupperware, not Tupperware, but in a big plastic container, and I'd have 2 or 3 of them just loaded up with jigs, and I would go visit tackle stores to try to sell in them. And I would go to these tackle stores, and you would see these hand-tied lures, and it would have like number 12, number 24, number 30, and there weren't any hand-tied jigs with names on them.
Hmm.
And when I'd go walk by and I'd see the Bobby Garland jigs, I would see a I wonder what that is. Huh. I would see all these jig names at Bobby Garland that they were putting on their jigs, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to start naming all my jigs. And I started naming all the jigs because I'm like, you know what? I want somebody to know that this lure is the assassin lure, and this lure is the blackout. And so I started naming lures, and I still have a list of names that they just sit there. Uh, Sometimes I get inspired by going to Walmart, seeing colors, a color scheme on a box of cereal or a toy,
Yeah.
or I see a toy and it has a name to it, and I'm thinking, oh, I could put that name on a jig, or I could just you see the name of something and maybe it's a tune or something they're advertising for something on TV, and there's a name there. So I get my notepad on my phone and I'm typing in Funky Monkey, and that name's been out there for years, but let me
Hmm.
put that with a color jig. There's
Right.
some colors that we do own,
Funky
like the
Monkey
Mad
Blue,
Shad and
or
some of the
yeah.
other colors we own.
Right on. Source wants to know, what is the weirdest jig you make?
Oh, I don't know. I do not know. I
Well,
mean,
Anthony asks. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I tied, when I was a teenager, I would take a hook, a bass hook, and I would tie whatever to it, and, that's probably where my lure making started, and I would tie a parachute man, the little army figurine on it, and I would just throw it out there and I'd catch bass with it.
Wow, that's crazy. Um, Anthony wants to know if you're an NFL fan, who is your team, and do you like fishing lakes, rivers, or docks?
I like fishing rivers. I like fishing docks that are in rivers, lakes, and ponds. I like all of the above everywhere. I like fishing. What was that question before then?
Are you an NFL fan, and what's your team?
Oh, I love the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh!
Um, I was never a Chiefs fan till Patrick Mahomes got on the team. But I like the Chiefs. I used to be a Houston Oiler fan, but I like the Texans. Other than that, I like the Miami Dolphins. And other than that, when the playoffs happen, because the Cowboys are either not in the playoffs or they get knocked out, I'll cheer for whatever. I can sit down and watch two NFL teams that I have, no fandom of it, but I like watching football.
So how do you feel about the Micah Parsons trade?
Oh, that's crazy. Well, he did play his best years with the Cowboys, but you know,
Um, he's in his prime now, and I don't know if you know this or not, Ruben. My team is the Green Bay Packers, so
I know.
so thank you. I mean, we appreciate Jerry very much. You know, we appreciate this, and it's gonna be historic.
Yeah,
That's
I
why
think he's
he
going to
asked
have a
that
great
question.
year because he's going to try to prove it to all those guys. He's probably going to have some regrets when it's 15 degrees outside.
Yeah,
But
I can
I
see
think
that.
I think it's a good trade.
I mean,
I
but
didn't think he'd be with the
he played
Cowboys
high
forever.
school and college in the cold, so I don't think it's going to be a rough transition for him. He
No,
did
I
get
think
to
he'll be
play
good.
warm weather until his last 4 years in the NFL. But and then Peter asks, can you get clients using Facebook, then go from there, making gigs moving forward? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of competition on Facebook. If you're wanting to get your lures out there, Facebook is the easiest tool to use
there you go.
because you got the built-in friends already on there. Most people that have Facebook have had it for a couple years. You got your friends and your family. If your family supports you and what you're doing, they're going to share it out. Unfortunately, my family, a lot of them that are my age, they don't understand how much it means if a share goes out. So we do have some family members that share it. Some people see my pictures and go, you know, yeah,
Right.
he made another
Yeah, I
lure
mean,
today.
if they
You
if
know,
they don't get it, they don't get it. There's
no,
there's going to be a lot of people that I mean, they don't understand my fishing channel on YouTube, and I'm like, no, I'm doing really well, and they're like, people really watch that? They watch you go fishing? Yeah, they do. They really do. And I watch
yeah,
other people go fishing.
I mean, I started out with Facebook, and again, it just, and I wasn't the first one that did it on Facebook. It just, um, we grew. I don't have a huge following. I probably have, I don't know, 4,000 people that follow me on Facebook. Um, again, it's just one of them things. What helps me out quite a bit is YouTube and TikTok, because again, I think I was made to do what I do, other than share Christ. Um, and I love doing what I do. And I hope it shows, with my
Thanks, man.
attitude. And I know my attitude is not the greatest. I get about once every week, once every 2 weeks, I'll get somebody that they want to do live streams. They don't know how to do them. They just started tying jigs 2 weeks ago. It's like, oh yeah, well, the
Just keep going.
arrogance in me wants to tell them, do your time, brother.
Yeah.
you know, stand in line one day. But I'm 59 years old. I know, um, I may have another 15, 20 years doing what I'm doing. I don't know. If I'm blessed, like my friend Faye Riley, he died when he was 85, and he'd been tying jigs since the 1960s. You know, um, again, I love doing what I do. I know there's a younger generation out there. Um, you know, just start somewhere, start small. If it grows, it grows. Too many people, and I always share the business aspect. There's a lot of people out there that tie a really good jig. They have no clue about business.
Mhm.
and they don't have any clue about promoting. And or they don't tie a good jig and they know a whole lot about business and they can't get their business to grow because they won't get any repeat customers because they have a really awful product.
Right.
And then there's people out there that know how to promote and they just bypass everything. They're like, you know what? I'm not going to tie these jigs. I'm not going to pour these plastics. I'll just go ahead and get them from China or wherever, and I'll
Oh,
just put my name tag on it, and they make money doing that. There's nothing
yeah.
wrong with that.
Yeah, I think so too, Peter. I tied flies, when I was very, very young. My grandpa taught me how. He got me a tie flying kit. But I just never kept up on it. I mean, I'm basically a live bait fisherman anyway, you know? Um, but yeah, no, I agree. There's definitely an art to it, 100%, you know? Uh,
Yeah, I had no one sit down and teach me. I had a couple of people that have tied jigs for years that in the very beginning, I was buying my jig heads from one guy. Again, he was in his 70s. Another guy, eventually I ended up meeting him. He tied jigs for 20, 30 years. Um, and I ended up tying jigs for him under his business name, which was Crappie Time Jigs. And it very fast into our business partnership. I was just one of his jig tires.
mm,
People started going into his tackle store going, can you tell me which jigs are the ones that Ruben tied? Because his jigs last a long time,
right?
and these other jigs, they're not lasting. And so we had a mutual breaking up. And he's like, this is going to be the best thing for you. You just need to go out and make a name for yourself. And by that time, I already had my own company. You know, I just tied jigs for him. I like doing it. It's fun. I didn't make a lot of money doing it for him, but um, again, a lot of the learning was just a lot of trial and error. I got uh, how would I say? I have an engineering mind to build things. Um, and so when I'm building a lure, um, you know, I'm going to tell you, you guys could count how many times I wrap my thread. In most cases, it's between 160 and 170 times. That's how ingrained it is in my head of how many wraps I'm going around a hook.
Wow.
I know that's an OCD thing,
Sure.
but
Well, maybe that's part of what makes you so good at it. You know what I mean?
chat made me tie jigs. Yeah, Crappy Man used to watch me on, I guess, what, YouTube and, well, not YouTube, but well, he still watches me on YouTube, but I think
If I
he watched me
remember
on TikTok
right,
a long time ago.
so I interviewed Crappie Man on this show, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. I believe so. You know how I asked the question, and actually, I forgot to ask you this question, so this will be the last question of the night. But when I asked him, who would you really like to see me interview, you know, he brought up your name, if I remember right. Was that right, Crappie Man? Didn't you tell me to interview Ruben? I can't remember.
Yep.
Maybe I'm
He
imagining
said
that.
TikTok was the first time he saw me. Yep.
Um, so that reminds me, who would you like me, or who do you think would like me to interview them, or who would you like to see me interview on YouTube?
There's a couple of people. I'm going to pull one name out, and love her and James to death. They're really fun to watch. Well, I'll put two sets of names out there. Um, Pontoon Jody, uh, her fishing partner is Cool Cats, aka James. They go fishing quite a bit together. Excuse me.
All right.
She would fish on TikTok. I got to know her through TikTok, and I don't know if I got to YouTube before she did, but I remember at telling her on her TikTok live, and I don't know if she was already doing it by that time or not, but I left a comment on her live stream that said, you ought to really try YouTube. It's really good. You might do better there. And she has Again, I don't know if she had already been doing live streams on YouTube before that point. I don't even know if she saw my message that I typed up there. Um, but we're pretty between James and Jody and me, we're about all around the same age. I think she's a
Peter, I've
couple of
already
years older than
interviewed
me.
Cindy and Travis.
Huh?
Peter says interview Cindy and Travis. I said I've already interviewed them. It's
Oh,
up.
you're
You
talking
can go
about
see my,
Skipjack?
yeah. Yep, I've
Yeah.
interviewed Skipjack, Cindy, and Travis, whose channel is BS Fishing. I've interviewed them both now.
Oh, I think another person, um, and I'm talking about somebody that fishes quite a bit, is JR Fishing, and that's Jamie and Richard, and they catch. Again, they do a lot of catfishing,
Mm-hmm.
and they may not catch as many fish as some of these other places, but part of that's due to the environment that you're fishing in. They are getting some days they get a lot of catfish. Some days they don't get a lot of catfish, but they get big catfish, and
Mm-hmm.
that'd be a good one there. JR Fishing.
Okay.
They've been doing more fishing lately. Um, I got to know them through TikTok. I got to meet them personally uh, through Tackle Bandit because Tackle Bandit's one of their sponsors, and Tackle
Okay.
Bandit's about 15 minutes away from me.
All right,
Uh,
guys.
could, could I do a quick shout out?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Shout anything out. Tell us what you got
We do
going
have
on.
our lures at Navitac Outdoors. That's National Bait and Tackle in Claremore. The Rusty Hook down in Eufaula, Oklahoma. Tackle Bandit and tacklebandit.com in Collinsville. And then we have Shields All Sports in Tulsa. And you can find our lures at shields.com.
There you go. You want to say it one more time? Just to make sure everyone heard it.
Oh, Shields All Sports in Tulsa. Also shields.com. We're on their nationwide or on their website. Tackle
Maybe
Bandit, tacklebandit.com.
can you
They're
spell
in
Shields?
Collinsville. Huh?
Can you spell Shields?
Oh, SCHEELS.
All right.
I
Very
think they
good.
got about 35, 40 locations in the US. We're just in the Tulsa location. So if you guys do have a Shields near you, and you don't see our lures, let the fishing manager know, the department head, uh, let them know that, hey, you need to bring Ruben Flores jigs into your store.
All right. Very good. Well, guys, I'll give it another minute or two. If chat's got any questions they got to get them now. But I think we're about to call an end to the show. It was a great show. Thank you so much, Ruben. I really appreciate it. This has been great, man.
Oh, thank you. I'm looking for questions in there too.
Yep. We'll give her a couple minutes, see if there's any more questions roll in.
Oops.
But yeah, no, this is usually by the hour and a half mark. It starts glitching, and we haven't
Oh,
had
it
that
is,
problem
isn't it?
today. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I'm surprised. The time went by really fast.
Yeah. No, it was a great interview, man. It really was. Definitely one of my best. And if you ever want to come on any, I also do like once a month, well, twice a month technically. The last Friday and the last Saturday of every month, I do a panel with a bunch of fishermen, up to like 10 different fishermen, and we
Yeah.
just sit around and talk about fishing trends of the month. If you wanted to come on one of those panels, you're more than welcome to. You got my phone number, so you can just shoot me a text or, you know.
Oh, here's Victoria. How long do you expect your business to last? Uh, I don't know. We're trying to do some things that are going to last beyond me living. With like the YouTube channel, um, or fishing rods. That's something there that my wife can sell after if I do pass away. What do you think of fishy things? Have you met? Yeah, we want to see. Will you sponsor me? I don't know. Just send me a message through my through the email on our website. What do you
But
sell? What do you sell, Ruben?
I think he's
For any specials?
I think he's just
What's
kind of
that?
asking prices in general, I think.
Oh, they run anywhere from $4 to $10 a pack.
Chad's just asking silly questions now.
We do have really good rods, though. Yeah,
Yeah, show
it's a
us some of your
medium heavy
rods.
catfish pole. It is a two-piece. We wanted a traveling rod and medium heavy action. We've already had a 300-pound shark caught with this and a 200-pound shark. And then
You got
we
any
do have our
rods that
little
glow in
dock
the dark?
rod, which is a 4-footer. Doesn't come with a reel, and then we got a 7-foot crappie pole too.
You got any Berkeley glow sticks?
Ruben, you sponsor? We're just taking names and we're trying not to do sponsorship. And here's something there, and it's a good topic on. You hear the word pro staff quite a bit, and as a young kid, you think pro staff, that's professional staff. You're on staff with them. And a couple years back, I had a guy that's been in the fishing industry, and he had given me some really good advice. He says, pro staff means promotional staff. Are they promoting your product? Are they selling your product for you? And so I try not to pro staff as many people. If they really love my product, before they ever get a free pack of jigs or a free rod or fishing line, if they love our products, um, they're going to promote our product. And 9 times out of 10, I'm going to approach them because they've been promoting us so well. These days, you get so many people, they want free stuff,
Right,
and they're not going to promote your product anymore because you won't give them this or won't give them that. I'm like, you know what? We were in business before we had pro staff. We'll still be in business. But if
right,
somebody's out there promoting our product, we want to gift and reward them for it. So if they can give us customers, um, we have more flexibility. There's so many people out there that want discount codes. They want this. They want, one guy wanted 6 free rods, catfish poles. I'm like, that's a lot of money there, you know.
right,
But in order to make that deal work, there has to be a giving and taking. And
right,
so often you get people that are like, well, I promote your product all the time, Ruben. And then and not to give anybody a bad feeling or a cringy feeling, but what's going on in my head is going, okay, you promote my product, but you only have 17 people that follow you.
mm,
You might as well be a
yeah,
road sign that's been knocked over, laying in the
mhm,
grass.
right,
You look at the sign, you stand it up, it has your business name on it and everything, but nobody can see it, you
right.
know.
Yeah, I
But
haven't reached out.
huh?
Sorry. Oh, I was saying I haven't reached out for any sponsorships other than Culver's because
Yeah.
I just don't think I'm big enough yet. But Culver's can afford to sponsor me. They could throw me a free cheeseburger or two. You
Me
know.
too. There's just some good burgers there.
Right.
We have one in my hometown of Kerrville, and their custard is good. Burgers are good.
One of these days. One of these days, I'm gonna get my Culver's sponsorship. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
You know, that for so if you want to get sponsorships, and I'm saying this generically
Yeah.
across to everybody, fall in love with a product. You're always going to get your feelings hurt with whatever sponsor you have. We're all human. We may say the wrong thing. We may miscommunicate. But if you love the product so much, you're going to make it work for you. If you don't love the product and you're just looking for free jigs or you're looking for a free rod, uh, I'm always going to disappoint you and you're always going to be
Right.
dissatisfied.
Right.
And if you love the product, we have some people out there that promote our product. We send them free stuff at times, but they love our product. We have we may not be the best buddies in the world, but I see what they're doing and they're sending us customers. And when we're getting that, there's not a big profit margin with what I do. Some of these people and companies that they'll buy 10,000 rods and you'll be surprised, they're only paying $10 for a rod and they're selling them for $200.
I
So
mean,
there's a big profit margin with that, you know.
I
They
know
can
I'm a
give somebody
super
10.
I
Huh?
know that I'm like this. I know I'm a super small channel yet, but I'm not gonna endorse a product that I don't personally believe in. Like I'm not gonna say this lure or this line or this rod is so great unless I really believe it is. And
Yeah.
hopefully I can stick to those principles. Now, if somebody comes along and offers me $1 million to say I like a rod, I'm probably gonna say I like a rod. But we're
You
not
ever
there yet.
watch the Have you ever seen The Office? Do you like watching The Office? Have you ever seen
Oh
it?
yeah. I've seen every
You
season of
you
The
got
Office.
Dwight Schrute
Yeah.
and he's talking about loyalty and
Yeah.
he's talking about loyalty with the company he works for, but this other company's offered him a job, and their loyalty is a lot more important. you know,
Right, right,
Basically, they're loyal to whoever throws them a bone.
right.
And uh, we have people out there that have been using our jigs for 12, 13 years, and they're not the only ones using them. They told their brother, their cousin, and we get customers like that, and I love sending them stuff because we'll get an order and I'm looking at the laptop going, "Oh wow, this is from Reggie." Oh, Reggie Reggie said Fred sent them to me, you know. So if you ever get to, uh again, there's people telling people it's word of mouth.
Um,
Advertising helps out, but word of mouth is a lot better. A recommendation.
two things. One, first, I have to say, Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. All right, got that out
Yeah.
of the way. Next, everyone wants to see and hear about your catfish rod.
Oh, yeah. It is. We I had started working on a crappie pole before COVID, and when COVID came, I just lost communication with that factory, and we uh, we ended up going with a different company. I had been blessed. We had a friend of mine that is a buyer, basically, and the rod that we have is similar to a rod that he tried to pitch to somebody else, and that other somebody else was sponsored by a big rod company. And he had thought, "Hey, Ruben, you know, we have this two-piece pole. Um, can you help us out with it? What we'll do is we'll help you with the rod. We'll connect you to the factory, and that way you got your own catfish pole." And so that's how this came into being. We actually had a catfish pole before we ever had a crappie pole. And again, it's a medium heavy action. It's a great rod. It's built for a bait caster. It has a foam grip on there. You got your double locking nuts, and you can use a spin cast on it. And again, it's 7'8", medium heavy action. And when you're a small business like me, you can't buy 500 medium heavy action, medium light, heavy action, extra heavy. So we started out with a medium heavy, and again, you know, you can catch big fish with these rods. They do. You can't see them under a black light. Um, we did this uh, with two different colors, with black and chartreuse, for a reason. Um, there's a lot of neon rods out there, and if you guys have those neon rods, those glow rods, basically, what
Mm.
happens is the neon will start peeling up and start fading on you. What we have with this rod, it doesn't fade. You don't ever have to worry about the green tip fading or anything. This thing, we had this out a couple of years ago in the back of my truck, and it's over 100. what did I say, 100 years ago? A couple of years ago, the weather was really hot, and I kept the rod in the back of the pickup just to see if it would fade out, and it never did. And they're really good rods. You know, you can use
So
these for trolling, catfish, striper, drum. We got a guy on TikTok, goes by Woody's Wild Adventures, and he's caught, I would have to say, over 300 fish in the last year, whether they be drum or catfish with these poles. We got people that use these in saltwater. A couple months ago, we had a lady catch a 90-pound, oh, what do you call a stingray
oh, wow.
with this rod. And, they're great rods. They're pretty indestructible. Again, you got your stiffness there. We went with the medium heavy action because we wanted to go after people that do live streams. And
Mm.
if you got these in the takedown rod holders, that's what we use, or takedown rod holders when we're on the bank. Uh, you're going to get a really good presentation of your rod bending with this rod. Um, Unlike an extra heavy rod, it's not going to bend as much. So if you do a live stream and you catch a 5-pound fish with this, you are going to get some bend out of it. But if you get a 30, 40, 50 pounder, this dude's going to be bent over. But it's a really good rod. It's
So
the handle's a little bit thinner than the Mad Cats and the Hellcat rods. It's a little bit thinner. It's a lot lighter in weight, and it is a two-piece. You could put this in your trunk. Um, One of the things we wanted to do was build a really good two-piece pole because a lot of times fishing poles get stolen at Walmart if they're hanging out the back of your pickup.
yeah.
Another thing is with a two-piece pole, if you don't own a truck, it's hard to get a 7-foot pole in your back seat. So you can break down the rod, put it in your back seat, put it in the trunk of your car. You go to Walmart, break down your rod, lay it in the pickup. Most people can't see it. And this rod also is a good travel rod. We've had a few people go to South America. They get a rod case, put it in there. They carry the rod on the plane with them if they want.
So that's true, Emmykins. Um, did you partner with a company and then give them your specifications to have this rod made? How did all that? Tell me about that process.
Well, they gave me a generic rod,
Uh-huh.
a blank,
Okay.
and said, "What kind of action do you want on it?" And we wanted it to be 7'8". So we partnered up with a factory overseas, and they sent us out, you know, a couple of different prototypes, and I would go fishing. Those prototypes are up there, and they're pretty cool. But we tried them out, and we would say, "Hey, we want something a little more flexible, something that'll bend a little more."
Mm-hmm.
We also gave them the colors. We also, what I ended up doing was I measured out the eyelets, and one of the other things we did was with this rod, I I I wanted someone to be able to fish with a spinning cast, and on a spinning cast, the eyelets are going to be bigger, the base. So we had it moved up a little higher, so that it wouldn't slap up against the rod with a spin cast. And then we also added, we wanted eyes to every, I can't remember how many inches. But yeah, we worked with them, color scheme, all that stuff. We worked with the company, they worked with us. Crappie pole is the same way. We went with a different factory. I wanted a really light rod. So this is our 7-footer, and it is a light, fast tip rod. Here's how light it is, and it's made for sensitivity, and it's made to get the bite, to feel the bite.
You probably can't hear me, Ruben. Can you hear me?
What's that?
can't hear me. Yeah, no, it's glitch time.
Oh, I can't hear you now.
Yeah, read the chat.
Okay.
Sorry, man. Thank you so much. Thank you.